All right, let's dive in. We're going to go on a little journey here, not through some new city or anything, but right into the mind of a marketer. And it's a journey that really just starts with one simple goal: to understand people, the world they live in, and ultimately how to connect with them.
Okay, so what in the world do New Coke, the spending habits of teenagers, and the US Potato Board all have in common? I know, it sounds like the setup to a really weird joke, right? But the answer is actually the key to how modern marketing really works. Stick with me because by the end of this, you're going to see the invisible thread that ties all of these completely random things together. So, our first stop, and honestly, this is the most important one. You've got to know your customer. It's probably the single biggest mistake a business can make, thinking that marketing starts with their product. It doesn't. It starts with a person. It starts with understanding what they need, what they want, and what really truly makes them tick. So, how do marketers actually build this picture of a person? Well, they kind of look at it through four different lenses. Demographics tell you who they are, their age, gender, income. Geographics tell you where they are. Behavioral patterns show you what they actually do. But the real secret sauce, the part that gets to their motivation, is the why. And that's where psychographics come in. Psychographics go way, way deeper than just the basic facts. They're all about lifestyles, values, and attitudes. Think about it this way. It's the difference between knowing you're talking to a 35-year-old woman and knowing she's a 35-year-old woman who cares about sustainability, runs marathons on the weekend, and loves indie music. See? Suddenly you have a real person, right? And that's who you can really connect with. Here's a really simple way to see this in the real world. Just go to a bookstore and look at the magazine rack. That aisle is basically a perfect physical map of psychographics. You've got magazines for runners, for gardeners, for gamers, for people who are into classic cars. Each one represents a tribe, a group of people connected by a passion, not just an age group. It's a perfect map of these consumer groups. Now, obviously, this isn't all just guesswork. Marketers are swimming in information. But raw data by itself, it's just a bunch of numbers. It's noise. The real skill, the real art, is in data analysis. It's about finding the story, the signal, inside all that noise, and turning it into something you can actually use to make a decision.
And this is a perfect illustration of that. An auto shop surveyed its customers. At first glance, okay, numbers. But check this out. A whopping 60% of women rated the service as excellent. But for men, only 30%. Boom, right there. That's not just data anymore. That's a story. It's a clear, actionable insight that tells the shop, hey, you guys need to work on your image with your male customers. That is data analysis in action.
Okay, so understanding a person is one thing, but it's not enough. You also have to understand the world they're living in, because no company, no product exists in a bubble, right? The economy, global trends, what society cares about, all of that creates the landscape where you have to operate. Every economy has a rhythm. It kind of breathes in and out. You've got the expansion phase. That's when things are great, jobs are easy to find, people are spending. Then you hit the peak, and things start to slow down into a recession. Belts get tightened. And then, finally, you hit the bottom, the trough, and the slow climb back up begins. Knowing where you are in that cycle is absolutely crucial for a marketer.
And here's exactly why that matters. Just think about it. Trying to launch some super expensive luxury car right in the middle of a deep recession when people are losing their jobs, it's a total recipe for disaster. It's not just bad timing, it shows you're completely out of touch with what people are actually going through.
And this idea applies all over the world too. When Honda wanted to go into China, they didn't just try to sell cars. Why? Because they looked at the economic reality. Most people simply couldn't afford one. So what did they do? They adapted. They focused on motorcycles, which were affordable, and they crushed it. They understood the local landscape. And the landscape isn't just about how much money people have. It's also about what they believe in. We've seen this huge shift towards environmental awareness, which has led to what we call green marketing. It's all based on one simple idea. A lot of consumers are willing to pay a little more for something that aligns with their values.
And man, when you go global, things can get really complicated really fast. What's totally normal in one culture could be a huge no-no in another. A perfect example is gift giving. In some parts of Asia, a gift is an expected, friendly part of doing business, but in the US, that exact same gift could be seen as an illegal bribe. You have to be so careful navigating that stuff. All right, so you've done your homework. You know your customer, you get the world they're living in. Now what? Well, now it's time to actually do something. This is where we get tactical. We're moving from understanding to acting, and we're going to look at the tools marketers use to get their message out there. The marketer's toolkit is huge. You've got the classic heavy hitters like TV, radio, and magazines. And then, of course, the internet came along and just blew the whole game up. The hard part isn't knowing these channels exist, it's picking the right one. Because a great message in the wrong place is just static. And technology just keeps adding cooler, crazier tools to the mix. Think about those interactive kiosks in the mall, or even just a simple Google search. You search for something and bam, an ad appears for that exact thing right at the moment you need it. It's made marketing so much more direct and incredibly personal.
And these tools aren't just about ads you see online. Ever heard of category management? It's basically the secret science of how a grocery store is laid out. It is absolutely not an accident where things are on the shelves. Big brands like Kellogg's literally work with the stores to put the sugary cereals right at a kid's eye level. It's a plan, a very smart, very effective plan.
And the tools go all the way down to the words people use in a one-on-one sale. There's this classic technique called the superior point method. So imagine a customer says, "Wow, that's really expensive." Instead of arguing, the salesperson just agrees. They say, "You know what? You're right. It is. But let me tell you why." And then they pivot to all the amazing benefits that justify that cost. It's a clever way to turn a negative into a positive. Okay, so we've covered a lot: the customer, the world, the tools. But what happens when a huge company with all the money in the world gets it completely, catastrophically wrong? Let's talk about one of the most famous marketing disasters in history. This quote really says it all. The market determines success. Back in the 80s, Coca-Cola did the unthinkable and changed their formula. The result was New Coke, and it became an absolute case study in total failure. It's the ultimate reminder that at the end of the day, the customer is always, always in charge. So where did they go so wrong? And this is the wildest part. In blind taste tests, people actually liked the new formula better, but Coke was measuring the wrong thing. They completely forgot the #1 rule of this whole journey. They totally missed the deep, powerful, emotional connection people had with the original Coke. It wasn't just a soda, it was American culture, it was a memory. The lesson was brutal but simple. Never, ever ignore your customer's heart. And that brings us full circle. That's the invisible thread connecting everything from a failed soda to, well, potatoes. It's this journey of understanding. So now, the next time you're walking down a store aisle or you see an ad pop up, you'll see it differently. You'll see what's going on behind the curtain. The research, the economic calculation, the strategy. The real question is, now that you know, what are they trying to make you feel?